I had my sweater on, and I'm like, wait a minute, let me put my uniform on. So
Yeah, it's a Superman chest coming out.
I did the same thing, Dilip. I was like, I got to get on the Neo vest before we go live here. So we got to represent. Well, let me, if I could, Jeff, actually, I was going to kind of introduce Dilip and Revive and the backstory here, but is there anything you want to do to set that up or anything you want to say before we jump in?
No, I think that's perfect. Your setup will explain anything that I could explain. I would just kind of maybe talk about the difference between this training versus others that we've had. You have brought Revive in as our guest presenters because they have a product you and I have been talking about personally on how can we create an advantage for our clients in this market. So guys, that's kind of where this came about. And I don't know if it was just the law of attraction or some serendipitous encounter or whatever, but after Josh and I had spent quite a bit of time talking about this, it just so happened that he collided with information that led him to Revive. And he was like, you know what, this can't be real. Let's look into this. Let's have them come and share with you guys. So I'm excited for tonight. And Josh, you can do the lead in. I think we're good. Anybody else that's joining us can just jump on late. We are recording this. So Josh, why don't you just go ahead, take it from here, introduce Revive any way you would like, and then we'll turn it over.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate it. So to your point, Jeff, we were really, you and I were talking about this challenge in the industry that's kind of locking up housing. And we were just, we were thinking about what if this isn't a temporary thing? We went over that presentation last week that I did for your team and showed the massive number of millennials, which then turns into the massive number of Gen Z from a population standpoint. And demographically speaking, we have a huge demographic wave of first-time home buyers ahead of us. And I just saw an article today out of Freddie Mac that said that home buyers right now are 4 million homes behind. And that doesn't speak to the wall of new buyers that are coming along that we showed in that demographic report. So we all want to think that 2022 is going to come and we're going to have more than 1 month's inventory of homes. But I'm not so sure. I don't think that home buyers can keep up. And so when I came to Jeff, I said, what if this is the new normal? What if we can't figure out how to get our buyers to compete in this market? What if we're not going to be able to advise and help people and we're just going to have a frozen real estate market? So as Jeff and I were talking about how we might be able to work through that, I was introduced to Dilip and Revive through some of my partners at Neo Home Loans that operate out of California. And essentially, just to tee up the big problem that I see, Dilip, and I'll turn it over to you, my friend. The big problem that I see is I've got a homeowner who would love to sell and move into a nicer home, but they have to sell home one before they can buy home two. And the scarcity of the new home is so great that it kind of freezes people in their current home. And if there was a way for them to, buy the new home before they sold their current home, that would solve a lot of problems. So Dilip has several products with Revive. I'll turn it over to you, my friend. I really appreciate you being here today and addressing this problem.
My pleasure. No, thank you for having us. My name is Dilip, one of the co-founders of Revive, and I believe Jeremy has joined as well. Is he here? Can you wave real quick?
Yeah, I'm here with you guys.
Awesome.
Nice to meet you guys.
Hey, Jeremy.
Jeremy is one of the experts on our team. That's what we call our sales team. And Revive is really a guide for homeowners to help them maximize the value of their home, but also have more flexibility and convenience. And we do this in a couple of different ways, which I'm gonna dive into. But real quick, Josh, do you want me primarily to focus on our trade-up program, or do you want me to just expose everyone to all three?
I'd love you to share all three, please.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna start with a little bit about why Revive was founded and what we're about. Then I'm gonna go into each of the programs and give you guys a quick summary of each three of them. If whoever's admin, if I can have sharing privileges. Oh, I got it, perfect. I'll share my screen and we'll go over a few things. So please nobody make fun of me of how many tabs I have. I actually found this magic thing. If you guys use Chrome, You can create groups in Chrome and it makes things look a little cleaner. So a little hidden tip for everybody there. But let's get started. Okay, so like I was talking about, Revive is really about the homeowner. Like we're trying to come up with innovation for the homeowner to really accomplish three things: to allow them to have more flexibility, more convenience, but in our case, for them to not leave any money on the table. And we do this in a couple different ways. So one of the things that we are not is that we're not a realtor, we're not a brokerage, and we're not a lender. So who are we? No, we're sort of the guys that like kind of craft these different programs. We are the financing arm that enables, capital to be fronted and to be used in a creative way to give solutions to homeowners. So we have three main programs that we've come up with. The first one you can see on the left here is called Home Concierge. Now, you guys are probably familiar with Compass was a major mover and shaker in concierge. We have our own program that we believe it's more robust and more flexible, which I'm gonna get into in a second. But this is all about the idea of fronting the cost of capital to make renovations happen so a homeowner can sell their home for more. And I'll get into the benefits about that. But that's Home Concierge is for those that want to, maximize the value of their home, sell quicker, and gain more profits. This is a program for them. Josh was kind of alluding to the trade up program. Now, this is when we have a homeowner that owns a home and they're selling their old home, which is like the down leg, and they're trying to buy their new home with their up leg. You guys are probably very familiar with, contingent offers. And, I think real estate is like an auction these days. That everything is going like, so much more higher. So there's value in being an all cash buyer. And that's what really this program is about. It's about helping a homeowner purchasing their home in all cash, where Revive actually buys their new home for them with all cash, making them more competitive when it comes to actually acquiring that new home. And I'll get into the benefits about that. And the last one is Sell 360 program. This one is our version of an iBuyer or Flipper, or you've seen like Cash for Keys or We Buy Ugly Homes. Going back to like really why Revive was born was for innovation of the homeowner. So our position when it comes to the iBuyer is to say, if you really need to get out of your home today, then we're gonna buy your home with today's market value in its current condition. We're gonna do renovations and sell it for more, just like those investors and flippers. But you as a homeowner, they're gonna have a fishing line in the deal and maintain 50% of the profits thereafter. And I'm pretty amped on that one. Like I said, our programs are really about the homeowner and designed to their benefit. So with that being said, I'm going to first start with Home Concierge to let you guys know how it works and the major benefits. I'm going to pause there for just some question and answers, and then we'll go through each program. I think the magic sauce is in the Q&A, and I feel like it's more interactive and fun. Actually, it makes it more fun for me. So Home Concierge, a lot of people kind of think about Home Concierge as renovations. Compass has this, or I think Coldwell Banker responded with a partnership with an app. And I think a lot of them are missing the point. Last I heard is for the example on Compass, they get approved for a budget, a dollar amount, and they're given a debit card. And the realtor and homeowner become a project manager, and they have to decide what renovations matter. Well, the reality is, not all realtors are treated equal, and not all homeowners know what renovations to do. So what we're kind of all about is, we help them, we guide them with what renovations should be made. You're going to work with like Jeremy, an expert on our team who understands flipping homes. We're going to lend you our expertise to say, hey, what renovations can be done here? How much would it cost? And what is the expected ROI? And if we're going to put a budget, like a dollar into this home, where would we put it? So one is that we kind of leverage our expertise. The second thing is service providers. We're not the general contractor, and we don't want to be the general contractor. So we work with a small network of service providers where we give them a degree of business. Now, this I think is the silver bullet when it comes to concierge, and this is where all the other concierge programs I think go to fail. When we work with a market, let's say Los Angeles as an example, we only work with a half dozen or a dozen service providers in that marketplace because we want to ensure that we have priority, speed, and quality. Much like a flipper, when you guys probably know a lot of flippers, and what makes them successful is one, their expertise, which we solved for before, but two, they're using the same service provider, so they can mandate their pricing. They know what kind of quality that they want. Like when you're flipping a home, essentially what we're doing here, you don't want to like have the best of quality where you have the guy that, you know, paints the cabinets himself and sands it himself and hangs it himself, because that drives up cost and money. You want just the right amount of quality, and you don't want too bad of quality because you want to sell the home for a good amount. So we work with a half dozen or a dozen service providers, and we really guarantee them 3 to 5 jobs a month. Just like Expedia reserves seats for an airplane, we're doing exactly that when it comes to service providers, so we can mandate that. So we work with a small network of service providers, which we mandate their dollar amount. We can get top priority. We can start next week. It's not uncommon that you call a service provider and they're telling you we'll book for months, but when we're reserving these guys' time ahead of time, now we can actually start next week or in 2 weeks, which is unheard of. The third thing that we solve for is the capital. You know, we go ahead and front all this money with no interest and no fees. We do this based off the equity of the home. So we ask there to be 20% of equity after the renovation budget. That means no credit checks, no third-party lenders. Actually, Revive is the one fronting this money. And so that's a really big game changer. And there's no minimums and there's no maximums. It's really based off equity. The most that we fronted, well, we'll actually have a project that's about to finalize this week. That'll be 650,000 in renovations. But until that's signed, the most that we've fronted is 350,000, and the lowest that we've done is $3,500 for a staging job. So this isn't about just big renovations. It also can be, you know, just a clean, a paint, a flooring, whatever that looks like. So that's really everything about home concierge. We do have one caveat to this is we call, not caveat, it's called the no loss guarantee. Now, some homeowners, when they're looking at, you know, renovations and they watch it on HGTV and they go, wow, like there's some glamorization in real estate. Maybe this doesn't apply to me. And they're going to hear from Jeremy, and Jeremy's going, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner and Realtor, I'm recommending 150,000 on renovations, and this is why. That could be very intimidating. So we do have a no loss guarantee that says we will guarantee that that investment, that rehab investment, will not be gone. In the event that you won't recoup it, it's on us. Now, for the share of that guarantee, we do participate in the upside. And usually when we say that, the homeowner goes, you know what, I'll maintain 100% of the profits. But that's a fantastic way to, you know, put people at ease and stuff like that. So with that, I'm gonna pause there about home concierge before I go into trade up, since it's fresh in our minds. Jeremy, do you want to add anything to that you think that I've missed?
Oh, you did a great job covering it all. I mean, really, to what Dilip's talking, we're taking on the entire task from top to bottom. We are the project managers. We are the designers. We're sourcing the material. We're handling the contractors, vetting the contractors. We're doing everything to take it off the agent and the homeowner's shoulders. And that's really where our program, it's not just about the money. It's really about getting the project done and getting it done on time and to the quality expected. So.
Yeah, there's this concept that I have circling around the office that it's not final yet, but it's almost like this balancing act between quality, liability, time, and money. And these are the reality of any actual renovation project. And there's a balancing act here. For example, when it comes to liability, I mean, you can save some time and save some money if you use unlicensed and insured, but your liability increases. So, you know, we only work with licensed and insured service providers. Once again, on the quality side, you can't have too good a quality because, to be honest, we're not going to choose your homeowner's favorite Brazilian teal backsplash. Like, we're creating this to mass buyers. So, you know, we have a certain palette that we work out of, and we've chosen materials and finishes based off, well, economical reasons, and sometimes really based on availability these days. So there's a big balancing act in all this where it's not too much, not too little. And we're trying to be a very robust program when it comes to concierge. Does anyone have any questions that I can answer right now? Yeah, I see one.
Yeah, I got a question. It's more asking for clarification. So I know there's no cost, no interest, no fees. Can you speak just a little bit more on that equity share component?
Sure. So in the event that a homeowner says, you know what, I would appreciate the no loss guarantee, then we're going to participate 25% of the upside. So you have your base cost of the as is of the home plus the renovation value, and anything above that, they're going to maintain 75% of profits, and we're going to maintain 25% of the profits. Now, I just want to stress that it's completely optional. It is most advantageous for them to not do it and maintain 100% of the profits. In that event, we earn our money from the service provider in a couple different ways.
That clarification helped a lot. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I have a,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll go after you.
oh, thank you. A couple things you mentioned, you have a set group of contractors that you work for in a market. And in Idaho, towns are really small. Do you have that network in those smaller towns? Like Twin Falls, we have 50,000 people. So do you have a network in a small place like that? And then also you mentioned licensed contractors. Many in Idaho, it's not a requirement to be licensed. And so how does that work?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for asking that question. Where are you?
Brenda, it's okay.
Brenda. So to the first question, we are not in Idaho. We are currently, I would say, there's a balancing act of creating a new market, because you kind of need, the properties or the projects, and you need the service providers. And so I can't say that we're in the city you mentioned in Idaho. We're in 7 states in 14 different markets. However, it doesn't take that much for us to break into a market. If you all wanted to start trying it out today, I would encourage you, but I would just say, give us 2-3 weeks to ramp up. And once we get a service provider that's going to get all of your guys' listings and stuff like that, one service provider can handle 3-5 different jobs for us a month. Once they see we're not charging them any lead fees, they get really high fee on our projects. We do all the design work for them. They don't have to interface with the client. They just focus on what they want to focus. So I would just say, if we're new to this market, if this is in Idaho, then I would simply ask, give us a couple weeks to get ramped up. But after that, it should be pretty quick. And I think you guys would just be the early adopters. Now, when it comes to license and insurance, yeah, some states don't require a license, completely okay. But one thing we won't budge on is definitely insurance. We're going to get verification of their insurance, making sure they meet our minimum requirements. And that's really to protect the homeowner, the revive, and so forth.
Could we get a list of the markets that you're in already?
Sure. Yeah. I can email that to you. I'll just list it out just real quick. We're in the entire state of California. For whatever reason, we're in the entire state of Hawaii. This was our second market. I don't know why we chose an island, but that was great and fun, but we're there. We're in several pockets of Texas, several pockets of Tennessee, Atlanta, North Carolina, and Florida. I'm pretty sure I got them all, but if not, I can always email it to you.
Did you mention Utah?
I did not mention Utah.
Are you in Utah?
I am not.
Oh, okay.
Not for the concierge service, the renovation team, but for the next product you're going to mention, I believe you're in Utah.
Okay.
Should I dive into the next one?
Well, let's see. Is there any, so this would be something, just for clarification, Dilip, if the team, which, these guys have agents spread all over the kind of Western United States, but if Utah is kind of the home base for them, if they wanted to get going on this home concierge in Utah, we would need to get you, an idea of what kind of demand we have, and then we would need to give you a little bit of runtime, correct?
Yeah, for the first, I would say first 2 or 3, just a couple, we would just give typically it takes 2 weeks to start construction, just to go through underwriting and go through what renovations and have the homeowner sign off. I would say let's put that up to 4 or 5 weeks, just to kind of give us enough ramp up time. If the seller is super motivated, and that time is very crucial, which I totally understand, then we're gonna say, maybe we're not the right fit at this time. But if we have that couple weeks from them, then yeah, we can totally do it. It's not a problem.
Yeah. I see a huge need for this when a realtor walks into a house and says, this thing probably isn't even financeable. We've got, shingles and the air conditioning unit and water leaks, and there's carpet missing, and then, there's all kinds of animal, and there's no handrails, and there's peeling paint. There's all these kind of things that are probably going to be red flags for underwriting. So at that moment, you either just decide, I'm going to sell this to an investor all cash and figure out what that discount price would be, or we're going to enroll Revive, fix it up, and then how much more could that client net from that sale?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the financeable piece is huge. We've never gone upside down on a property. We do a lot of due diligence, making sure, this makes sense. And in some cases, we're here as a guide. We're going to tell the homeowner, don't make any renovations, sell as is. Now, one of the biggest things that realtors are doing, which I think is fantastic, they're getting in touch with us before they even have the listing agreement. And so let's just say, for example, you had a property that you're like, well, some renovations could go a long way here. You will go to our website, you hit the get started button, and you're going to submit the property along with some questions. At that point, you're going to upload some photos, maybe identify some comps, but you're going to primarily schedule a meeting with a Revive expert. When you meet with that expert, you guys are going to talk about the local neighborhood. You're going to kind of talk about the comps that you've outlined. And together, we're going to create a consensus on what renovations make sense. Now, this is without the homeowner. This is just with professional to professional. And out of that meeting comes a renovation plan with as-is renovations that we're recommending, expected ROI. Now realtors are using that renovation plan to close a listing. And that's been the big difference, to say, I brought in my extended team. So Jeremy will hop in the call and be like, Josh asked me to be here today, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner. I've now worked with him for a couple hours, and we've put together this strategy on what we believe today would benefit your home. And these are just kind of ideas, and they have estimates, but that's been a big difference for realtors to win listings. So we hope to be an extension of your team, and that you would you feel free to get in touch with us even if you don't have a listing.
That's strong. Thanks for sharing that, Dilip.
My pleasure. All right. Maybe I'll hop over the trade up.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. So you guys can still see my screen, right?
Perfect.
Okay, great. Trade up, we sort of mentioned it in the sort of pilot of this meeting, I suppose. But trade up is really about buying the new home. So, a homeowner, like I mentioned, was, wanting to get out of their old home. They're upgrading, downgrading. I know it says trade up, but they could be downsizing if they're retiring. But the idea is that, they want to sell their old home and they want to buy their new home, but they are getting beaten up in the open market and they want to become an all cash buyer. So the Revive Trade Up program works like this. We will go ahead and buy their new home for them with all cash. Now we own the home, Revive. They would then move directly into that new home, and they're going to rent it from us just at market rate, while the old home is probably going to have concierge and sell for more. But while the old home gets prepped, sells on the open market, when that home sells, then they're going to buy that new home back from us at the same dollar amount. Now, the cost to participate in this program is 3% of the money that we fronted to buy this home. How it works is a couple documents, which all of you are going to be pretty familiar with. First, they're going to sign we're going to have a purchase agreement that we purchased a new home. They're going to have an option agreement with us. Inside that option agreement, it's going to be an option to purchase, but they put 20% relative to the value of the new home. So if that new home is worth $1 million, just for easy numbers, we're going to want 20% of that, $200,000, inside the option agreement. Now, this doesn't have to be all cash. This could be some cash, maybe a hybrid of equity from their old home. However we want to work it out. Some people are going to be more cash, some people are going to be more equity. That money that they put into the option agreement is to be applied to the purchase of the new home. When the 3% program fee, so if we fronted the entire, so if they put $200,000 cash into that option agreement, that means we bought $1 million home, but we only fronted $800,000. So it's going to be 3% of $800,000 that's going to be the cost to them. Now, when we purchase that home, they have 6 months to buy that home back from us, because we don't want to be holding on to this for very long. In the event that they need more time, it can go another 6 months for another 1% charge. So total of 4% for the entire 12 months. If they have not purchased a new home back from us in 12 months' time, they've foregone the option agreement and the good faith deposit that they've made as well. So this is for serious buyers, that if they're kind of like unsure about this new home, then this isn't the program for them. But but this is the way that it works. And so it really comes down to two things. It's one, becoming an all cash buyer, which has value today. I speak to homeowners every day, and they're saving money on their offer because they're an all cash offer, and we can close as close as 10 to 20 days escrow on this. And really also there's a bit of a convenience because they're going to move from their old home directly to their new home. And now that they're out of their old home, we can do whatever small or whatever big renovations are needed to really maximize the value of their old home. So they don't have to use our home concierge program, but in the event, every home needs a little bit of tender love and care. We hope that they will. But that's a little bit about the program. Jeremy, break check me. Did I miss anything?
Couple questions we get on the program a lot is the 20% that they put into it. You may structure the deal differently. Maybe they only want to do 5% down, or we've had a VA where he was doing 0% down on his trade up. We can return the money back to them, all except for the 3%. It doesn't have to be that the 20% rolls into the down payment. So however you choose to structure the loan, that's up to you. We'll return the money, whatever isn't part of that deal for the down payment.
Our business is to be creative financing. And so not every property kind of is so linear in the same way. So yeah, sometimes we're leveraging some equity here, sometimes some cash here, but yeah, in a VA where they have no down payment, like, wait, how can that be applied to my new home? We're happy to return the money to them.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
The second thing is sometimes we get asked, can we use this trade up program where they don't have a down leg or where they're choosing not to sell their down leg? Yes, you can. We can make an all cash offer. We just hold on to the 20% plus the 3% fee, and then we'll make the all cash offer even if they don't already own a home. We can use it because we're seeing a lot of that today where everybody, even new buyers, have to have a cash offer to be competitive at all. So we can do that as well.
I've got two questions, and I'll, if anybody else wants to jump in, please do. You mentioned that in the scenario that they're buying $1 million home and they've got 20% in cash, so the loan amount's $800,000. So the 3% fee is on top of the $800,000.
Right.
What about in the instance that they had 5% in cash? So let's say they had 50 grand, and then they had the other 20 or 25 or 30% in equity in the down leg home, in the departing residence. Do you then charge the 3% on the 950,000?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So whatever dollar amount you're lending is the basis, regardless of if there's cross collateralization with equity in the other home.
Correct.
Got it. Makes total sense. One more question. You said close within 10 to 20 days. So that could make a big difference in a super competitive market. What would dictate your ability to close in 10 days or 20 days?
Yeah, that's a good question. We've done it where we've done 10-day escrow, and we're happy to do that. But we do want to make sure there's ample enough amount of time for the homeowner to look at the inspection report and making sure that they're cross-checking, and they're the ones that are going to buy this home. So typical is 21-day escrow. But we're happy if the realtor is motivated to, and the homeowner is motivated to do less, we're there for them. That's not a problem. We're just going to make sure. I get a lot of calls are like, hey, I want to use a trade-up program. What do I need to do? I want to put an offer today. And, we need time with your loan officer to fully underwrite them. Not just say that they're pre-approved, but more like we're looking for, and Josh, you're probably going to hear this from AOH and all that, is we're looking for official, like underwritten approval from the underwriter, like from the company. And that's a big difference, and that can take a few days in itself. So we want to make sure that, who we're buying this home on behalf of, they're fully qualified to buy this home from us once they're ready. And we have a direct partnership with Art of Home Ownership, where they're our lender network, where, if they give us that letter, they're greenlit, they can go shopping.
Yeah, and just for clarification, Art of Home Ownership is the down leg or entity that my partner Ryan Grant runs in California. In Utah, that would be under the NEO name. But what Dileep's saying is he wants an actual underwritten, approved loan And I think that's prudent, Dilip. I mean, the last thing in the world we want to do is, put somebody in the position of a cash buyer and then, oh, they didn't have time to inspect the home and, oh, they didn't qualify for financing. So I think that's a prudent step.
Absolutely.
Jeff, you must have 42 questions. What's going on over there?
I'll bring them up later. I want to digest the whole package here.
Okay.
Should I then move to Sell 360?
Sure. If nobody else has any questions, let's roll.
Brad. No, Sell 360 is one of the programs that I'm most excited about. Oh, actually, wait, before I go there, one thing on the trade up. This is right now only approved for homes that are $2 million or less for the up leg. On the down leg, we're gonna make sure the down leg, the home that's selling in order to buy the new home from us, is in a market where average days on market is 60 days or less.
It's not a problem.
So just making sure. Okay, Sell 360. This is the one that I'm most excited about.
Is this in Utah? Can you clarify? So Home Concierge is not Utah, but Trade Up is Utah, and 360 sells
That's
360.
Yeah, because trade up is more of a finance thing than anything else versus the renovations require a little bit more boots on the ground. But yeah, that's correct. We would happily do it in Utah. Okay, so Sell 360 is our version of an iBuyer or Cash for Keys or We Buy Ugly Homes. One of the things that we want to do is allow people to maximize the value of their home. But unfortunately, some people are in a certain situation where they just have to get out of their home today. Of course, it's most advantageous for them to maintain the home, do renovations, and sell it for more and maximize the biggest asset that we have in our lives called these homes. But if in the event that they really have to get out of the home, then Revive's position is to say, we will go ahead and buy the home today in the current condition at current value that we dictate. So we're going to buy the home as is at market value. We're then going to do renovations, and then we're going to sell it for more. The profits that are made above the renovations value will be split 50-50 with the homeowner. So this is a way that, if they have to get out and they don't want to leave any money on the table, this is at least, a fish line for them to say, okay, I can liquidate today, cash offer, we'll buy it. We're going to do renovations, and then we're going to sell it for more and then cut them a happy check later for a little bit more than what we paid for it. Now, this one also has a $2 million cap, and average days on market is 60 days or less.
Just to piggyback on that, this program gets real estate agents very excited because they make a listing commission when they sell it to us, and then we use them as our listing agent to sell the property when we're done with it. So they ultimately get to double dip on the same house.
Well, kind of. Let me create. Sorry. So if we buy the home, the realtor is going to be paid 1% commission at that time for cash flow purposes. Now, when we do renovations and we list it, we want you to represent us and sell it for maximum dollar. On that sale, you're going to get 2.5%. So 3.5% in total. So I guess there is some double dipping, but it's still kind of, not a true like double dip. It's not like 2 full commissions.
So Dilip, then what is worked in? If 2.5% is on the listing commission side, what's worked in for the buyer's agent commission?
The same, 2.5.
Awesome. Okay.
But presumably the second sale, once they're selling it for you as the owner, is going to be higher than if they would have sold it just on the market because you've done a whole renovation and maximized the value in that house.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be relative. It'll be 1% on the first. So like, $500,000 home is going to be $5,000. And then we sell it for $1 million. Then it'll be 2.5%, which is, what's my math on that?
25,000.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So one more question on that program. If you're paying for cash and then you've got to do the renovations and you're splitting with the homeowner 50-50, what are your LTVs? I mean, what are your entry equity positions to make that worth your while to split X of equity on that property?
To split X, what do you mean? Can you rephrase the question?
So some homes have more equity than others,
Mhm.
right? And let's say one only has, or let's say they have 40% equity, but it needs a whole lot of work versus another one that has 40% equity that doesn't need as much work. There's going to be a different spread there on the end when you resell it, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, so keep in mind we're buying it all cash. So their equity wouldn't matter. So we're gonna own it. But I mean, we haven't really thought that through on what makes it worth it or not. I mean, if it's like in good condition and we buy it at 700 and it's gonna sell for 720, they're just gonna get less of a check later on. But I don't know if I have a direct answer on what sort of increase is deemed appropriate like for that program.
So you just need to know that there is an upside, not necessarily, hey, here's our minimum upside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we haven't.
Gotcha.
And I should also phrase this as Sell 360 and TradeUp have been in pilot since December. So we've been testing it out and kind of just like making sure it all works. They're both graduating pilot this month. But we haven't really looked at it from that lens, and a lot of the homes that have been submitted, they're just in really poor condition. So it's very clear that there's an upside.
Yeah. And so Dilip, talk to me about, you dropped a nugget earlier on how listing agents were going in to work with your team before they even got the confirmation from the seller that they were going with them and they got the listing. Yeah. That was, I think, a real nugget to help agents get a tough listing, especially if something has big time upside for some renovation. What other unique strategies or unique framing or marketing of this have you seen from realtors? Is there anything that you've seen the realtor community do that you were like, man, that was ingenious, that you could share with us?
Yeah, let me think through. There's a couple. Specifically, one kind of stood out. I had a realtor in San Diego that just targeted like crazy probate, just nuts. And it was just, and Home Concierge is a slam dunk for that. So, probate and divorce, these sort of use cases, I think are no-brainers. Nobody wants to deal with it. We're very concierge, like hand-holding type of service. So people kind of really prefer that. Other realtors are doing a lot of co-branding, and we actually had one guy take out an ad. This is actually a year ago, but take out an ad on the OC Business Journal, like one of the local publications here, and he got a couple major listings on that. In fact, that was a pretty good case study. So I think it's just kind of working, your whatever your marketing channels are to identify the situation of these individuals that can benefit from it and speaking directly to them and showing them like, this is first, the money is always valuable, but this is more than just the money, and being honest and presenting it to them. And when we present it in front of homeowners, they all grasp it, they all get it, and the feedback has been fantastic. So hopefully that answers that question.
I think that was great. I'm almost thinking this makes you feel like, as a realtor, you've got a rich uncle, and Revive is the rich uncle that whenever you go into a house and you're like, oh my gosh, you're going to leave 200 grand on the table because this thing's such a pigsty, you reach out to the rich uncle. When you have a client who desperately wants to sell, but is scared to death they won't be able to find another home. And oh, by the way, doesn't qualify for 2 mortgages, needs to sell the first home to qualify. You call the rich uncle, and the rich uncle comes in with cash and frees that situation up. So this is just a really, like you said, a unique and different source of funding that I think if we think with it creatively, this is going to free up a lot of opportunity and resources and inventory.
It's so funny that you say rich uncle. Well, first I want to preface that the whole process and program, because there's a lot of companies that are claiming this, but when you go through our process and you get that renovation plan and you get weekly updates from our team managing the service provider and doing the design and taking the thinking out of it, like it's way more robust. But it's funny that you say rich uncle, because I'm a software engineer by trade, and so I really lead a lot of the tech stuff here at Revive. But my first real estate tech company was called Rich Uncles. Um, and, and what we were a REIT, like a commercial REIT, and we were the first people that can like take unaccredited and accredited investors online from our REIT. So it's just hilarious that you said that. I'm like, look at this, Rich Uncles. So, that was a fun startup, yeah.
You got the rich uncle vibe going there.
Their branding was purple too, so there's some things we ripped from there, but yeah.
I love it. I love it. Jeff, what else you got, man? Any other questions that are top of mind? Like, how do you tactically implement this, or does it all seem pretty straightforward to you?
To me, it seems pretty straightforward. I'd like to see some questions from the other agents. I mean, I've spent so much time thinking about this. This answers a lot of concerns, questions, advantages for our clients. You and I have had a lot of conversations about this, is like giving them that advantage, right? This kind of fills that need, right? And I think between the team, if we have some more collaboration, there's a lot of the team that's not on the call in your particular states. If you wanted to collaborate a little bit more on maybe committing a certain amount of listings or whatever to get them opened up for that concierge service in our areas, that would be huge, because having these three legs of what they offer without that one is, or the two without the concierge is still great. But adding that in now allows us to do concierge on this one, you know, and combining these efforts. So Dilip, the great information. I love it. I see how it can be implemented. What I want to open up for is, anybody else have any questions on how you might open up discussion with your clients about something like this?
While we're waiting for anyone to come up with questions, I do encourage, if you gander on our website, there are a few things I would point at. Each of the programs have like a program detail page, and there's webinars that you can watch to go through the process. There's also white papers that you can request and download. We even have, if anyone here was thinking like, how do I market this? If you go to the marketing center, there's quite a few templates that you can use, and there's co-branded ones. So you can put your logo and kind of like, you know, just jumpstart you on the marketing side. There's like social media graphics and postcards, and we're constantly adding more to this. And so yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions. There's also a bunch of case studies. You can get a design, an idea of our design, and before and afters, and testimonials with videos. So I definitely encourage maybe taking some time on the website and taking a look.
Hey, Dilip, I can tell this is pretty robust, and I can tell you're pretty vested in this company. How long ago did you guys actually officially launch?
Okay, so we started unofficially 2 years ago is when we started toying with the idea and seeing if it's a business. January of last year is when we actually, you know, formed the entity and put the lights on. So a little over a year we've been at it. And we proved out business viability, you know, product market fit, and now we've just been kind of ramping since.
I love it.
I don't have any other questions. Oh, you got a question over there, Jeff?
Can we get?
No, I've got somebody in the office. I was just asking if there's any questions here. Sherry, was that you lighting up that you had a question?
Yes, can we get contact information?
Absolutely. Jeremy, do you want to, Jeremy can be your guys' point of contact. Great guy, great voice, handsome, could be on GQ, who knows? But Jeremy, if you want to just leave your contact info, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Or I can reply to Josh. Josh, do you want to send it out to the group? I'll include all my contact information for you. And then if you can give it to everybody, I'm more than happy to answer any questions, provide any marketing, anything you guys need. I'm your guy.
That's great. Yeah, if you can email it to me, and if you don't mind, throw it in the chat as well. That'd be great. We'll get it to people two ways. So Dilip, the last question I had, unless Jeff or anybody else has one, in terms of realtors signing up for this program, is there a process that they need to go through? And just walk us through, you know, you mentioned, you know, a bad business practice is, I've got a house I want to make a cash offer on today. So walk us through what does the right runway look like if we're going to use this program, and what steps are there?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say, the way we really want to position Revive is to be an extension of your team. We're not a vendor, someone that you're hiring to do these jobs, like in the home concierge, for example. We want to be someone that you're consulting with early on. So the moment, even if it doesn't pan out, you should be submitting the listing, getting paired with Jeremy, and at least have it in the hopper so we know what steps we need to do. Because when it comes time to like pull the trigger, everything unfolds real quick.
Yeah.
So if you put us in a position to just help your homeowners out, then it's never too early to get in touch. I would say on the trade up, because we're asking for that fully underwritten, it depends where the loan officer is. But I would say at least like a week ahead of time. It could be shortened, like if you're working with Josh, things that may already be like fully underwritten. So in that case, we probably don't need a full week. And then for home concierge, these are people's homes and they're big decisions, and they have to put trust in us, which we take very seriously, but they also need time to make a decision. Although the realtor may think like, I know this is a no-brainer and I'm ready to start tomorrow, they need time to process and make decisions. So on average, from the time we talk to a homeowner to the time we actually, everything is signed and we're starting construction, that on average is about 3 to 4 weeks. Of course, if properly motivated, that could be 2 weeks. But I think the reality is like homeowners need to mold it over, need to think about it. And like I said, it's a big decision.
Got it. And is there any steps that the realtors need to go through on the front end other than going to your website or contacting Jeremy?
I think those are the best ways. If you go through the website and you hit the get started button and go there, we have it goes into our back office. And like usually, Jeremy, what do you think our response time is on that?
Oh, if we're in the office, it's almost immediately. If you come in at night or over the weekend, it's going to be as soon as we're in the office.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty immediate, especially during business hours. We have a good sales team here, and we're constantly wanting to, service and it triggers us. So, you can speak to someone that same day if it's early enough in the day.
Got it. Great. Awesome job, you guys. Really appreciate it. I think this is a massive, as I said, to kick this off, I don't think this inventory issue is going away in the next year. I think this is something based on demographics and how backlog builders are. We either adapt and find new strategies, or we suffer and just not being able to get people into homes. So this is huge. We really appreciate you coming out and spending some time with us.
Thank you for inviting us.
thank you.
And I think all realtors at some point or not are saying, what do I got to do to get a damn deal around here? Because it's so competitive and there's multiple offer situations or whatever. Well, you only know what you know and you don't know what you don't, right? So now that you guys know of Jeremy and Dilip, I know I'm going to go to their website and I'm going to poke around. I'm going to get a little bit more educated. So it's more top of mind when I'm having those conversations with clients as a potential option. And it may not be for everybody, but you want your clients to have all the options possible so that they can move forward in the best and get the best outcome for them. So I appreciate you guys. This is great information, and we'll dive deeper into it.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, thank you guys. Hope you have a good night. Look forward to hearing from you, and chat soon.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Night.
Bye, everyone.